how are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. We obviously did a little bit of sort of EMDR processing last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
How were you after that session?
All right.
Yeah.
I tell you what I thought. Well, you know, listening to some of these therapy explanations, discussions by doctors and this and the other, speaking about varied therapists, it appears that I'm not blended with the little boy, and this is why when you asked me how I feel at the time when I'm looking at the mother on the stretcher, and you was quite insistent about that because you was obviously looking that I had a 1 to 10 of a pain or feeling in my body, but I said previously that I don't have any feelings in my body, and I don't know whether it's because I've got resolve on all these things, and I'm all cerebral now, maybe because I've closed all that stuff down, but I'm thinking, well, I don't feel anything inside, but I got emotional about it when I was starting to relive it mentally. And at the time I said to you, it obviously was a big deal, but it didn't feel a big deal when I was looking at her then. And so I don't know how significant that is. You know, but I said well, obviously it was a big deal, because it was a big deal, but it didn't feel like a big deal when I revisited. Because I've done it so many times, you know.
Yeah. And the aim isn't to re-traumatise. The aim is to witness what the little boy went through and heal what he needs to heal. And sometimes the danger was reading up too much on things and kind of, you know, I'm not blended with this, that and the other.
Yeah.
Might be, again, that you're analysing what you do a lot, because of course you could be blended to any part at times. You could be blended to the spiritual analytical part at times.
Yeah.
So, you know, the blending can happen to different degrees. And again, I suppose, if everything was healed, we wouldn't need to go back and do any trauma processing.
Yeah.
But if it's the cognitive aspects are there to take you away from the emotional connection, because it's painful, you know, that's what we're going to, isn't it? What needs to be worked through. We're not going there for the sake of it if it doesn't need work through.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's about linking up, isn't it, those experiences that got separated, and having meaning making out of that process.
And because it still elicits tears, then obviously the pain hasn't been resolved, and I don't know whether it could ever be resolved, because this has happened every single time. You know, I've addressed it after all these years. And when we see people, and they could be 70 years old and they're reliving something in an interview, and, you know, they get tears in their eyes, it seems that I don't know whether any of us can really eradicate these.
The aim is, you know, all emotions are valid, and sadness is really appropriate. It might be that, of course, when you go back to the time, you'll always get sad, and that might be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about that, getting rid of emotion in any way. It's almost what has got stuck, what beliefs. So when we look now about the impact of your life now, about not connecting to people, what of that is linked to the past that hasn't been healed? What of that about not being vulnerable, or fear of being judged or ostracised, or, you know, what of that has come from those early experiences? And that's what we want to go back to.
And so with further contemplation on this, I'm like, well, since that advent and all that childhood stuff, I still fell in love. I still had partners which I cared for. You know, I had one big love affair, but I still did care for people. I still had friends, and I still was very social, up until the point of the shooting, where I then went into my dark night of the soul journey, the 7 years of kind of like a depression, and a further 7 years of working everything out. And it's only been in the last 2 years, really, where I've really felt as if I could really let all that stuff go. And yet I still can't come out of my cave. And so...
but sometimes, so the shooting was later on in life, wasn't it, in your 40s?
Yeah.
And so what we can sometimes see is almost that obviously is a traumatic event and one that we could process.
Yeah.
But almost the red herring of all the earlier stuff. So I think you've described, Darren, haven't you? You know, you described the pain of your childhood.
Yeah.
The loss of mum, the family unit, the foster homes, the bullying, everything. There's a lot of trauma there.
Yeah.
And obviously you had parts that managed that really effectively and got you through and you survived.
Yeah.
And so that shooting in your 40s is obviously trauma, but it's also bringing up the stuff that wasn't healed from younger as well.
Right, right.
So of course, so ideally with the model, we go to the earlier stuff if we can.
Right.
So what we would do today, and we'll make sure we give some time to it, is we'll just go back in and check with mum in the stretcher.
Right.
If it doesn't feel like it caused too much problems in between sessions, we check in with that.
Yeah.
We go with that, and then we'll see anything else from the childhood events that still feels problematic or tricky.
Right.
And we try and work our way through. Now, not always. Sometimes you might come in and you might say, I really want to work on the shooting this week, and we'll say that's fine.
Yeah.
Because chances are it might still link back to the past anyway, but we just go in with that.
Yeah.
But that would be my plan today. Obviously give you some time to check in with what you need to, but we will make sure we go back to what we did last week.
Yeah.
Check what's still there.
Okay, because I was thinking that that's probably what you wanted to do, to finish that off.
Yeah.
Then we can move on to the shooting thing.
Yeah.
But the most significant things about that, other than the terror of it, and in, you know, coming very close to death and all that, was then the string of spiritual experiences, which were so profound, so life-changing. That's really what just rocked my world. Over and above those other events, those human events, because these events, they're metaphysical, they're spiritual, and they're things that we've been hearing about for millennia, and I experienced them, you know.
But if we were to work on those, you know, what would you want to process about those? What's the unhelpful meaning you took from those?
Well, it's the part that's probably not helpful, because although it's enlightening and it's beautiful, and you know, we've discovered all these things that they've been speaking about in religious books forever, and it's very powerful, and you can say, well, there is a reality to it because I've experienced that. You know, having Jesus speak to me, and the feeling of unconditional love, and having God reprimand me, having the devil proposition me, having the angels giving me exceedingly important cryptic messages. But what that's done is that has transformed my take on the world. And so now, every single day, I'm pursuing this avenue, and I've been pursuing it endlessly ever since the day the angels visited me.
So what could be the unhelpful belief you've taken from those experiences?
A helpful belief.
The unhelpful.
The unhelpful belief. Well,
How does it
I don't believe in the world anymore as a physical reality. I don't believe that there's anything real as far as we're concerned, like a self. There's no self. I mean, philosophers, spiritualists have been looking for the self forever. They've never found one.
So see if you can, so rather than going into, because that's where sometimes the time can go, can't
Yeah.
it, into sort of educating almost,
Yeah.
but in terms of what does it mean to you, how has this impacted you in a way we would process? Because if it's all been a good experience, you wouldn't want to process it. But if there's something slightly unhelpful from those experiences, what's the belief it's stirred up that's now quite difficult to manage?
Well, I mean, I suppose the shooting instance itself it further reiterates my resentment to the human being.
So that's from the shooting, but is there anything from the spiritual experiences that you were saying was unhelpful?
From the spiritual thing, well, Yahweh chastised me for 3.5 hours about my transgressions against love. So even God had something to say to me about how I wouldn't accept love. And when Jesus made his egregoric presence known, he showed me what unconditional love was like in my body. My body was trembling and shaking and buzzing. It was like I was on the point of leaving the body through an astral projection. There's a certain feeling. Tears of joy streaming down my cheeks, and absolutely just my whole world was shook that this Jesus thing actually does exist. He can show you some feeling that I've never felt before in my life and probably never will. And why did Jesus have to come to me about love? Why did Yahweh have to come to me about love? Why did the angels have to tell me I'm all out of balance? What on earth is going on?
So is that what the messages you've got? I'm out of balance, I can't love again. Are they the beliefs that
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't
That
feel as if I
impacts.
can love now, even though I did love. I just feel so indifferent about that.
Well, also though, this is why it's good to go back. One of the, when we were looking at Mum on the stretcher, partly that was about love leaving.
Yeah.
At that point. So it's interesting that these are about not loving as well, isn't it? So there are these sort of links and roots. So without talking too much more about it, 'cause I'm aware we've got kind of 45 minutes, why don't we go in to check in on last time, the imagery, Mum in the living room, see what's there, go through it, and then after that it might be that another target emerges from that, or we check in. It might be, we'll see how we get on with time, whether we set up the next one or not. Okay.
Okay.
So, that feel okay? Check in with the system. Everything okay? Happy to do that today?
Yeah, happy to do that. I've never found anything else, by the way. Very scant memories involved in that. So, I'm open.
As in when I said processing might continue outside of the sessions? When you say I haven't found anything else?
From the mum on the stretcher, and as I said, I don't even know that was my memory.
Okay.
You know, because I don't have visuals, so I can't see that. I can only ever remember thinking I saw it.
And as a childhood, everything's going to be a bit fragmented, isn't it? But it's a bit like we trust that image came to you.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not about looking necessarily for the facts. That's where we just trust what's held inside, what's the image that you had, and we work with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, see if you can just then go into a space just now, give yourself a few moments to transition inwards, okay? So, last time we were looking at Mum lying on the stretcher, so just check in with what's the image now of that time, that's our target, that's what we're working with today. Just check in what imagery comes up now when you think about the worst part of that moment.
Massive change, insecurity, bewilderment.
So what image captures this being a huge change? Is it still Mum lying on the floor? Is there something else that goes with that?
It's the evident fact that everything changes from here on.
And is there any imagery, any description, anything that you can see? So we're looking at that kind of, not just the cognitive side here, trying to let the cognitive aspect just relax a bit. Just try and go into that moment, that little boy there in the living room. What comes up now? What picture captures the worst bit of that moment just now?
I feel as if I should be saying loss, but I don't ever remember Mother being a nurturing mother. I don't ever remember being cuddled and kissed or anything like that. She was a young mum. She had 4 children. She lost 1. She was in a tumultuous relationship, and I believe at the time she may have even been having an affair, and so was the father. So it didn't appear there was any love in the house ever. And so I
So what image goes with this? It doesn't have to be exactly that scene, but what image goes with this? I was never loved, I've never experienced love. Is there something like this that we're connecting to right now? I was never shown love, love wasn't available. What's the image that goes with the worst bit?
Well, this particular house, it wasn't where I spent my former years. It was a strange house, and I think we'd moved to this house because Mother having an affair and father finding out who it was and dealing with that, and then being pursued by other people. So it seems that was kind of like my father's life quite a lot. And then after the death of my mother, then that was my father was being pursued by 3 of my mum's older brothers.
Okay. So just with mum, last time we started with mum on the floor, okay, in the stretcher. So how much distress does that image cause just now, out of 10?
It doesn't cause anything.
What belief goes with that image just now? Last time it was I'm alone, I can't love. What's the belief now that goes with that image?
Well, I'm alone.
When you think I'm alone, what does that feel like?
I don't feel anything from that time.
So the adaptive cognition that you were going to update it with was I'll be okay, it'll be okay. Is that still kind of relevant if there's no distress, or is there another adaptive belief that you want to attach to that moment? I survived, I got through it,
Yeah, I mean, to counterbalance the pain, I say I'm all right, Jack. Huh? Who needs mothers? You know, I'm just fine now. Look at me now. I wouldn't be like I am now, a mountain, if I was subject to all this gooey, soft love stuff. And when I look around the world and you see weak people, then I assume, well, they must have had loving mothers.
See, that to me sounds like there's still trauma beliefs in there.
Mm.
Because it's hard to know if the feelings are processed or if there's a denial of feelings because to connect to those people who've received love is painful. So we have to assume that those people are weak in a way to not feel sad for the loss. It's hard to know if there's a protector saying I don't feel anything, or if that is how you feel because it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah, because it's so long ago, because I've travelled so many journeys.
So last time you were here, you were able to go to that image. I know there's always a bit of a defence against going there.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a kind of a need to kind of explain where you're at and in a storytelling part.
Yeah.
But we were able to go to that image last time. We were
Yeah.
able to just connect to it.
I think what happened is because I went there, I did it, and it was a big deal again, and it feels like I can't keep stepping back into those shoes.
So is there a part here trying to avoid his feeling because it doesn't want to go back?
I think I've made up my mind that I've moved on.
Yeah.
And it's difficult now for me to go back, but I don't know how. You see,
And the thing is, we truly move on when we allow all aspects to feel, to witness, to move through. If we just decide we're going to think or feel or not feel something, only certain parts are moving on, certain parts are left behind.
yeah, you see, I brought that little boy. I went through all that thing, took him on my shoulders, brought him away. Now he's not there anymore, you know? And
So I guess I'm asking you, as you look at that place just now, as you look at Mum lying there just now, what's that like? Is there anything that causes any distress? Is there anything that's coming up as you look there?
it's like it's disappeared now.
Okay. So is the belief I'm fine now
Yeah.
still relevant?
Because last time I was able to go there, and as soon as we started to go there, the emotion came on. I'm so far away from that emotion now.
But does it make sense to you? You've got a part, like you've just said, that is saying, I don't want to keep going back there. What's the point of keep going back to the sadness?
Maybe, but how can I override that part?
Well, I think you just have to notice if that part's around. Is that part here at the moment saying, I don't want to keep feeling stuff, it's all in the past, I've left it behind, there's no point going back?
So shall I try to be emotional again?
Just check in, is that part around? Have you got a voice, a part inside saying, there's no point going back, I've dealt with this. There's something else I want to focus on today. Is that what's kind of...
Okay, so I'm going back now. I'm walking down the stairs. I'm behind my brother. We heard commotion downstairs. And he's leading the way. We come down to the bottom of the stairs and we look into the living room. And then these ambulance drivers and police. Difficult to know who and what, but you know, the dark uniforms. And mother apparently lying there on the stretcher, albeit I don't see any of these things. I don't see nothing, never have. And so that's why I have to rely so much on my cerebral activity. But if I try to feel now,
it's just keep it kind of simple without trying to put too much pressure on. When you know that Mum was lying there in the living room, is there anything that causes any distress about that moment now?
no.
So is the belief I'm okay now, I'm fine now?
Yeah.
Okay. So just connect to that belief for a moment. Okay. Notice I'm fine now. Hold that with the image, the thought of Mum being downstairs, and when you're ready, just do some eye movements. Okay, just take a breath. Okay, just notice how true does that feel out of 7, I'm fine now. 7 is most true.
Oh, it doesn't feel true at all.
I'm fine now doesn't feel true.
No.
So what do you notice?
It feels sad.
Okay, you okay to go with that, Aaron?
Yeah, so the emotion, that bit,
Okay.
that brought it straight
Okay
round.
to go with that? Just go with that. Okay. Well done. Just take a breath. Okay, what do you notice? Anything at all? Thoughts, images, body, feelings, memories?
I mentioned last time that when Mother died, then something in me died.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like a soulless vessel in one respect, albeit it's kind of like Mother's soul. You know, whilst mothers are alive, then we have a connection to their soul. I'm sure we share their soul. As soon as her soul departed, her soul left me. And yeah.
Yeah, go with that, Aaron, okay? You're doing really well. Just go with that. Breath. So, just notice anything that's coming up.
So when she left, then of course I was alone. And this deep inner connection was gone. And I think as long as she was alive and I shared her soul, then I could share mine, feeling comfortable and interacting and changing and swapping. And like you see kids when they've got this perfect upbringing with parents and everything, there's a resolve and a stillness and a contentness with them. But all of a sudden my world just came in.
Just notice that, Aaron, okay? Just go with that. Take a breath.
I suppose it felt very solipsistic. I never shared anything with anyone anymore. That was it. That inner sharing that I had, I suppose, with Mother, even though I never really felt it, it must have been there, and I must have longed for it and enjoyed it at some stage. But when that was gone, then that facility seemed to have disappeared. But it did come back again when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I did fall deeply in love. And it never happened again.
Okay. Just notice that. Just take a breath.
And then I was always interested in animals. and loved animals and loved being alone in nature. And was told that I could never give. My older brother used to say to me, "You can't give." Always being austere.
Yeah, just notice that. Take a breath.
Just aloneness.
As you notice that, Aaron, just give that yourself energy now. Just see if you can just make contact with that little boy again. Just let him know you're here. Just let him know you see that. So you can connect to that in the body. Take a breath.
So I can go back to him, or I can bring him to me and get that sort of unity.
So either way, just see if there's a way you can just let him know you're here right now as he feels that aloneness. Just see if he can feel your presence. Does he know you're you all grown up? Can he see the height of you? Can you see that you're not the same age as him? Does he recognise you?
I can imagine him smiling, go, "Wow, you did all right, mate." Considering.
Yeah.
I would have never expected that.
So just notice that. See if there's anything else he needs you to tell him, or anything else he needs you to know about that time. You can do that inside, or you can do that with eye movements, whatever.
I always used to maintain that when anybody that I loved was close to me died, then I would take on their energy strength, and I considered that by mother vacating, then albeit she took that bonding with her when she went, she left me with the strength. So it wasn't all bad. And then when my old man, he took his life, and he was always a strong person in lots of respects, but emotionally really weak. When he died, I intuitively took on his strength. And it's kind of like, I feel that's the funny thing that is, because I honestly could say that I did that. That memory of that bond and that connection with strength.
So just notice that, Aaron. Notice the space inside for both, the pain of the loss, but also the qualities of strength of what you took in, both mum and dad. And again, you can just do that inside. You can do eye movements. Just use this way to hold space for both. The loss, what that took away, but also how you did cope, how you did survive, what you did take from that. Just take a breath.
It was a very dark childhood, in that it was sinister. Because there was a very strong element of fear with all family members who would never want to discuss mother. They just, grandparents most certainly wouldn't touch that subject. My old man's younger brother, 7 years younger, who I used to work with. Well, I used to work with my dad and my uncle. And sometimes when the uncle had parties or meetings with all the family, we would try to tentatively broach the subject of what actually happened with mother. And even he I think he even said one day, I'll never talk about that as long as your dad's alive. And so there was something very dark and sinister. And my old man was arrested at the time and questioned about the death of mother. But apparently she'd sealed off the doorway and the window in the kitchen and put her head in the oven and gassed herself. And there was no further investigation. But even if there was no sinister activity in relation with the old man, then everybody felt that his overbearing nature gave her no outlet. And that's why her brothers really wanted to catch up with my old man.
Just notice, Aaron, go with that. Just notice what this was like for the little boy.
Very dark, very dark.
Just go with that if you can. Just see if you can just connect to that. Notice what this was like for him with all this stuff going on around him.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, take a breath. What came up Okay, just know where you are. You're doing well, Aaron. Yeah, is there anything you need to
Oh.
Is there anything
Oh boy.
You okay?
Mm.
Just get a sense of where you are. There's a lot of energy to the room.
We had a sister, older sister, she was alive before I was born, she had a cot death.
Okay.
And of course cot deaths, you know, could be attributed to lots of things, but neglect was most certainly a consideration with our family, because one of the memories.
Yeah. You do well, Aaron.
We lived in this piece of shit house, this terrace house, and we used to live in a big house, 3-story, but then we moved because of the affair and everything. I don't know, I can't remember. But we used to get locked in our bedroom. And I remember this room, it only had a single bed in it, and me and my brother were sleeping in that. There were no furniture, there was no carpet on the bare wooden floorboards. And we would wake up and it would seem like an eternity before mother or father would actually even come into the room. The door handle was taken out of the fucking door, so we couldn't get out, and the hole was plugged up so we couldn't even see. And those bastards would just left us there. Till I shut myself one day because we didn't have a toilet, and then the old man beat me on the arse with a sweeping brush from the fire hearth, like it was my fault.
Okay. Yeah.
Just
Okay.
wow.
Yeah.
Just neglect, just complete and utter neglect.
Yeah.
Neglect of my sister to the point of death, neglect of hers for hours and hours and hours, seemingly. My God.
So, I mean, I can see, you know, that brought up that maybe that had been forgotten for some time. Just give yourself a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. You're doing really well. Okay. Just check in with what you need right now, Aaron. Sometimes we can do a few different bits to bring us back into the room a bit and go back into it, or we can just notice what's coming up and again just stay with that little boy with all that outrage you see on his behalf. We can
Yeah,
let
I
him
can
know.
stay with it.
We can let him know, gosh, this was not okay. Whatever you want to say, whatever words, let him know that you see this. Just let him know you see him exactly as he was, exactly what he went through. Let him know you get it. Just see what's right for you, Aaron. I'm going to be guided by what feels right for you, but just let me know if he knows you see it. You see what he was holding, you see what he went through. No wonder he found a way to...
Yeah, we're all the same. My 2 younger sisters, my elder brother, never showed any emotion, always just neglected, just left to just grow up on her own, and have no level of nurturing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. This was really, really missing, wasn't it? Really didn't get these things that you needed and deserved. Just let him know you can see that. If it feels possible, Aaron, to connect to him now with nurture, with warmth. See what feels wanted and needed right now from him, from yourself to him. Does he want you to reach out to him? Does he want to sit with you? What does he need right now? Does he need to kick and scream and shout and you witness that and that be okay? Whatever he needs right now, just let him know you get it. Just let him know it's over. That you see what he went through and he can share you as much as he needs to, if that feels okay with you. Because we can do this in snippets.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it all now, but just check in with
Carry on now.
Yeah. So just see how he's doing with that then, Aaron. What does he need right now? Does he want any comfort, any contact from you? Where is he? Does he want to leave whatever scene he's in? Or does he need to show you a bit more? Just check in with what's right for the system.
Well, confused and wanting nurturing, being treated like a prisoner, put in this barren room with no toys or nothing, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, whilst my old man and the old woman laid in bed probably because they went out and got pissed and just slept in just seemingly to a stupid hour. And I just find that incomprehensible, how parents could be like that.
Yeah.
Just incomprehensible.
Absolutely. Let him know, Aaron, let him know that this doesn't make sense to you as a grown-up. No wonder this was confusing for him as a child. And let him know sometimes children take on these events as something they're doing wrong. Sometimes they think it's because they've done something wrong. Just let him know that that's often what children do, is they take in this belief to make sense of it at the time. He may have those beliefs, he may not. Just let him know. It's okay if he took those in, but he can maybe let go of them now if he wants to. This was about the grown-ups and what they could or couldn't do, what they did or didn't do.
There was another occasion where, one of the very, very few that I remember of Mother, myself and my older brother, and it's kind of like, we were so detached from her. She was like a stranger. And my older brother saw Mother, and her arm was in plaster. And my older brother said, "What's happened to your arm, Mum?" And she said, "Your dad hit me with Aaron's baby chair." And I, instantly after, I said, "What's happened to your arm, Mum?" "Your dad hit me with your chair." I said, "I don't know whether that was anything significant." My chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sometimes what happens is when children are so powerless and so helpless with the big people around them, the beliefs they often take in is, it's my fault. I should have been better, less naughty, more quiet, more helpful. That's one way children do it to cope, because it might sound strange, but it's safer for children to think the problem is me.
Well, I always wanted Father's approval after that. I was always very discerning to get his approval, to be in allegiance with him, to have a colleague, an affinity with someone, even though there was no love there. At least I wanted an ally.
And let him know that makes sense. That's what he took on, wasn't it? That makes sense, that he thought, gosh, I need to align myself with this scary, powerful man that's safer. Just let him know that makes sense and you understand that. And sometimes children believe it's them because that's a little bit of power they can have. If it's me, I can change. If it's them, that's far too scary because I can't change that. I can't do anything about these grown-ups being really dangerous and hurtful. So children often take on those beliefs that it's about them. And that was important at the time, but sometimes they still carry that.
I don't know whether there's any residue where I blame myself, whether it's an unconscious thing, but I don't seem to. I just always, I suppose I was filled with this naivety that he must love me. He did bring us back to the house, he did start again. And he tried to be a good father, but he couldn't be an emotional father. But he could always make sure that we had all that we needed. And
did what you could practically.
He had certain policies whereby all of us would have a brand new bike. He wouldn't hear that we weren't all going to have a brand new bike. So it was some sort of guilt thing coming from him. We all had the most pocket money in the village, but we had to do the work. We was all disciplined and we couldn't leave the house, and so we lived in an army camp or prison camp, and we could get parole of the weekend after we'd done our 2 hours of and it was 2 hours, everyone had to do 2 hours. And this is when we're like 10 or 12, 13, 14, went on for all our lives. And it was cutting the hedges, cutting the lawn, tidying the garden, cleaning, hoovering, and polishing shoes and everything like that.
So there's a lot, isn't there, as we connect to the childhood, there's lots of events that come up that are all making a lot of sense, all really valid, and we want to give more time to them. So just for now, I want to check in with that little boy, how he's doing, check in that he can still feel your presence all grown up, and check in where he is, and again, invite him to come with you somewhere to the present. And you might want to, Aaron, notice all the things, particularly in that room that was really barren and felt empty and neglectful. And you might want to offer him a space inside, whether that be an indoor room or outside in nature, that's filled in abundance with all the things that you think he deserved and needed.
I think that was probably the biggest one. That was a killer. So, it was just complete neglect and disbelief.
Yeah.
How we could be tortured like that, and then when offered no toilet facility, toileting on yourself and then being punished for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like, what sort of a head fuck is that?
Yeah. So do you know what? That might be something we need to process separately in itself, that incident in particular, because that might bring up other feelings and beliefs. But for now, just let him know you absolutely, you would have looked after him in such a different way. Oh, sorry, just in a session. So you would have looked after him in whatever way he needed.
And of course, myself and my mother, we did that for our daughter. She was the absolute apple of my eye. I doted on her night and day. I was the one that got up every single 2 hours while she was a baby, up until, I don't know, about 4 years old. As soon as she murmured, then I'd get up to check if she wanted a bottle, she wanted changing, and it became a routine, because when I was working, mother used to take care of her in the daytime, and so therefore the only time I would get, it was the early morning bottle feed, and then before she'd go to bed when I come home from work. And so to see her in the night time, that was my opportunity. And so being a light sleeper, I responded instantly, just have a murmur from her. So that level of devotion, I gave it back. And so it's kind of like, fuck you to my parents. I broke the chain, bitches.
Well, just for now, because I'm just aware of the time, Aaron, take that in, notice that you did that. There's already a part of you inside that offered that to your daughter and can equally offer that to your younger self. So again, just take him wherever he wants to go. Like I say, that might be an indoor house. It doesn't have to be factual. It can be somewhere you just imagine. It could be an outdoor space in nature. And just notice you're there with him, you're attentive, you're responsive, you're going to listen out for his cues, what he needs. And there's plenty of milk or fruit or biscuits or whatever he needs in those moments. There's blankets, there's toys, there's teddies, there's a clean toilet, there's washing facilities, there's entertainment. Just see if you can just take him in for a moment, knowing that he might have more to show us next time, and that's okay. That's not rushing him or silencing him, that's just saying, for now, you're not there anymore, you got through it. And within you, you already have these qualities that can offer that to someone else and to yourself. Just for a moment, see if he's willing to do that, if you can just come out of that old scene. Just enjoy this new place that you're creating. We can build on creating a new place. Sometimes that takes a bit more effort.
So I'm just with him now. I was 8 years old, walking full of enthusiasm, leaving the dark behind, heading towards the light.
Yeah.
So.
Good. Okay. Yeah, and that feels okay for him.
Yeah.
So in your own time, Aaron, just let that scene, just really, and you might just connect to that inside in your body, that he's there with you. You can always go back to that, walking to the light, that's somewhere in your mind you can always go to. If at times you notice he's gone back, just let him know, and all your parts know, that we're really grateful for giving us that space today. And just check in if there's any sort of final thoughts or questions before we come to an end for today and pick this up next time. Or has he got longer next time as well?
Yeah, there's plenty of stories of neglect, plenty of stories of disappointment, plenty of stories of loneliness and being unloved, and being an orphan, you know, in these children's homes with all other orphans.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's more to come back to, absolutely more, isn't there, to go to and to understand and to help him with. And let him know there's other parts of you that have absolutely adapted and survived and got through and found other ways to cope. So he knows he's not alone. Some of this is about just that connection with the other parts inside. And yet we also want to give space and time to him with what he's carried and held for so long. And none of this was about him, none of this was his fault. Is there any part inside Aaron that's kind of upset or cross with anything you've done today, or?
No, I think the saving grace is that the old man did get us all back into a family, and did cater for us all very, very well. And we always ate very well, was very regimented, it was clean, it was in full operation, we had lots of opportunity. He bought a speedboat and a camper van, and he converted a coach into a holiday van, and we went. So he seemed to redeem himself.
Yeah, he really tried.
Yeah, he really tried. And whether he was responsible for the death of Mother directly or indirectly, or the death of our sister, he certainly made recompense. Best he could, devoid of emotion. And so when I was growing up with him, he gave me all the opportunity to learn all different sorts of skills and trades, and I was always well paid, and I always worked with him. I could always work with him because my work ethic fitted his, and probably because I wanted approval on one level, but I was able to tune in to a job being correct, where my elder brother, he couldn't tune into that. He just couldn't tune into doing a job properly.
And like you say, how trauma impacts everybody in the family differently, and he was having a go at you for not giving maybe emotionally, whereas you found your robustness in that kind of adhering to the rules and learning skills, and he obviously coped with it in different ways, and that's what you're noticing, isn't it? And
now his life is disorder, chaos. Lived in the same house for 35 years, same carpets, same dingy walls, same dingy couch. He hasn't changed anything in his world, and so there's something there with his psychology. He doesn't want to change nothing. He doesn't want to confront anything. He's got VHF tapes on his shelf with dust this thick, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know your house is an indication of your mind. He doesn't want to go there. He's terrified, terrified of going there.
And we see that, don't we? It will have to come to an end, Aaron, but we see how people, in other ways, whether it be through the physical or through our own mind's defences, feel like they can or can't go somewhere at certain points. And that's something that you notice about other people, isn't it, where they can go to or not. And that's what we're noticing within, isn't it? The cooperation of the parts allowing us to go to these places. So we're going to have to end there, and it's a quicker session today. But we've got the hour and a half next 2 weeks Thursday. The
24th, is it?
The
24th to 10th
of July. 10:30 till 12. Okay. So, well done today, Aaron.
Thank you. Well done to you.